Hi guys.
Hi, MG.
We'll wait till maybe 6:42, 6:43 to start, and just to give people enough time to join in. All right. No, I'll turn my video on in just a sec. My camera is still very messed up, so I need to trying to get it to turn on, but it's like I have to force my computer around. So how's it going? I know we haven't seen each other talk anything in like a long time, so
How are you, MG?
you know what? I'm doing okay. I'm
I'm
doing.
glad you're okay.
It's going along just fine.
Oh. Is my screen the only one going in and out?
No, mine's doing the same thing.
I love you to be
Yeah,
home.
mine's doing that too. I was really confused.
Yeah, it's not just me.
Okay.
I haven't talked to you guys in so long. This is so
I
weird.
know. It feels so. The only way I've interacted with Christine were, I think, through her Instagram comments and then on her vlogs. But that's it.
Yeah.
I've sadly just talked to Nazim. Sadly. Too much. Oh no. Sorry, my microphone keeps unmuting.
Alina, is that you talking?
Yes.
Well, you know what?
Okay.
You know what?
You clowned me.
That's because it was so funny.
No, it was so mean.
You could have just, you literally could have just clicked on the message and seen the context.
I tried to, and like it wasn't like letting me. I don't know, it was Discord. So I was like,
okay, wait, let me explain. Me and Alina joined this Discord, okay, from like TikTok, and it's got like 100 people on it.
No, there's like 300 people on it now.
300 people? There's only like, there's not them, not all of them are like online all the time.
Okay, yeah, whatever, that's irrelevant.
Yeah, so basically we're talking, if you don't know, okay, so we both watched these YouTubers, okay, Cody Ko and Noelle Miller, and Noelle's girlfriend's name is Alina, and we were talking about this in the Discord, and I was like, oh my god, Alina's so gorgeous, and then, but Alina only saw like that one message, and she didn't see anything else, and she was like, oh my god, this is so nice, and I was like, LMAO, you thought, what do you think I am?
All right. I think we are ready to start. Can you guys turn your videos on if you can? Just because, you know, we haven't seen each other in forever, and it's like, I want to see y'all.
I would, but I really cannot.
It's all good. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm on my desktop, so.
You know what? This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna join with my phone as well because my computer camera is just not cooperating at all. It never cooperates, but for now, it's especially not cooperating. All right. Okay. We'll start with some of the stuff that we discussed in our council meeting today, and then. Okay. Hold on. Never mind. That might have been a bad idea. Okay, it should work now. There we go. That's my face. All right, good. So we discussed a few things in our class meeting today, council meeting, and we'll talk about some of that stuff, some of the stuff that we got clarified. There's still a lot that we just don't know, and that's no one's fault. It's just because things are changing constantly, and everyone's still trying to figure stuff out. I mean, even the governor and lieutenant governor, they can't agree. So we still have lots of conflict in our government. We still have lots of conflict, just everywhere. No one's really sure what's going on, and it's a difficult time. But
Right.
yeah, we just kind of have to move forward with what we can do.
And we were even saying in the meeting, even with the options we have right now, it could still change before school starts. So we really don't know until we just have to go with what we have right now. So
yeah. All right. So I'm gonna share the email that Madam Pereira sent today, and we'll go just to keep track of that and make sure that we cover everything. And there's also some other stuff that we discussed, and we'll talk about that as well. So the first thing is, in case you're,
It's echoing.
It is echoing, I know. That's because I have it on my phone as well. Let's see.
try to mute it on one of your devices so that it doesn't echo.
Okay, let's do this. Okay. Is it still echoing?
No.
All right, good. So all right. So learning options for next school year. So there's 3 learning options. I'm sure you guys have heard. If not, then this is a great time to talk about them. So the 3 options are going to be the in-person, which is 5 days a week in person. There's the hybrid, which is 2 days a week in person and 3 days remote, or fully remote, which is 5 days a week remote. So in person, and this is just from our current understanding, once again, nothing's official yet, we still don't know. In person right now is going to be basically, you're going to be grouped into what they're calling pods. It's a weird word, but they're calling it pods, so that's what we'll refer to them. But basically, you're going to come into school with your mask on, all right? They might do a temperature check. We don't know about that yet. And correct me if you have information otherwise. So just feel free to unmute yourself and let me know if I'm not up to date or whatever. And you're going to go to your grouped pod, your classroom. So say that this is our classroom right here. And everyone's going to be seated 6 feet apart, and they're going to be given 45 square feet of space. Now, personally, I know North Hills classrooms, and I mean, our classrooms are pretty small. I mean, just thinking of, the 300 hallway, the 400 hallway, those classrooms, if you wanted to give everyone 45 square feet of space, you're going to have to put 4 people in the 4 corners. I don't think there's a better option other than that, simply because we don't have the room. So I think they're really banking on the fact that most people are going to choose online. But if it is in person, then they'll probably start using the gym and stuff like that. But once you're in that room, you're going to be in that room. They'll give you an option to switch to a shield. Let's just pretend this is a shield. All right. So they'll give you the option to switch into the shield. This will probably be labeled with your name. That's what we think, because otherwise, it could get confusing. And these shields are going to stay in the classroom. You're not going to take them home. These are going to stay in the classroom, but they're going to be dedicated to you. The biggest concern I had regarding this was who's going to clean them and what's the guarantee that they're going to be cleaned. So we don't know any of that yet, but that's why it's probably just going to be yours and it'll stay with you. So teachers are supposedly going to be rotating around classroom to classroom, and they will be simulcasting. So as they're simulcasting, the students who choose the hybrid or online version, and I'm not going to talk much about the hybrid because it's really literally a hybrid. So as long as we talk about the in-person and remote, I think you'll get the idea, right? So they're going to simulcast, and as they're simulcasting, the students who are choosing the remote version will get to be at home in the comfort of their bedroom, chair, sofa, whatever they are, and they'll be able to study there. Now, it's going to be synchronous. So that means if you are not going to attend the class, then it's going to count against you in attendance and everything. So attendance still matters. It's still like you still got to attend the class live, essentially. So attendance is going to be taken. Now, the other thing is that assignments are going to be pretty much all online. So even those who are doing in person are going to do their assignments online, because to facilitate that that consistency between in person and online learning, all the assignments are going to be done through Schoology. Ms. Barnhart, has already set that up because she's really organized about that stuff. But they're going to be using Schoology and what other maybe Google Classroom and other online resources. But everyone's going to be doing online assignments just to make sure that it's consistent. Now with the simulcasting, something that we've noticed is that they mentioned this virtual teacher. Now, I had a lot of questions about what this virtual teacher meant. So this virtual teacher is kind of like a teacher's assistant, because, of course, it's going to be very difficult for teachers to do both in-person sessions and, go back and forth between a computer. That's very difficult for them. So this virtual teacher is kind of like this teacher's assistant, kind of like a chat monitor and all that. So they're basically going to be looking through the chat on Zoom or whatever platform they choose to use. And they're going to be making sure that questions get answered. They'll answer easier questions, and they'll direct harder questions to the teacher. One of the concerns I had, and if you have concerns, once again, feel free to shout them out. I'm actually making a list, and that way we can address them and at least ask administrators if we do get a chance. So one of the concerns I had was I really learn well by having discussions in class. I need to be able to directly ask the teacher a question and directly receive a response. So that's something that's been troubling me, is that I want to be able to interact with the North Hills teacher, the real teacher, not that they will be answered by a virtual teacher. And once again, I mean, these virtual teachers, we don't know who they are. They're not from North Hills, and North Hills culture, it's different. I mean, we can deny that, but it's true. It's different. It's different from the other uplift schools. And to say that there's going to be a consistent standard across all uplift schools, that's you can think that in your dream, but it's not going to be. That's the reality. So I'm going to write that down. Is virtual teachers and interaction with in-person teachers. The other concern a lot of people had was teachers. I know that there's a lot of teachers, especially some of our elderly teachers. They were concerned that they didn't want to attend in person because they'd be jeopardizing their own health, right? So they're concerned about that too. So we wanted to make sure that we get those questions answered as well about teachers. Will teachers be required to go to school? And that's not really our business, but at the end of the day, I think we've come to build much closer relationships with our teachers, and we do care about them. So that's something that I've been worried about a little bit. Now, I was also going to go through the FAQ document because there's some stuff in there. I see in the chat you guys are talking about the shields being mandatory. In the FAQ, it actually says they're not mandatory. What they're saying is you'll have the option to take your mask off and switch the shield. The other option is to not wear the shield and have a mask on, and the other option is to have both. So you're gonna have some protective. You could have both, or either. That's from my impression of the FAQ. So we'll go through that in just a bit. Now the big thing, okay, Shreya says, will everything be, let me open the chat up and see what she said. Will everything be graded properly? Yes, so this is not going to be a completion grade anymore. These are going to be real grades. That's why they want to ensure that we have consistent grading through Schoology or some other online platform. That way there's not paper assignments as well as online assignments. Because once again, that's going to be very, I mean, it is what it is. It's difficult, and it's a difficult situation, and we all have to adapt. And yeah, I'm sorry. But the big thing to remember is that what Madam Yulis and Mr. Ash said, please, please, please submit your choice by Friday. It's very important that they realize that that they're able to plan accordingly, because if it ends up being that it's not, I mean, I don't think it will, but if it ends up that 75% of the student population ends up doing in person, then, we don't have space for that. They have to figure something out for that, right? So just please have your parents, discuss this with your parents, because at the end of the day, this is your education as well. And a lot of things to keep in mind are, do your parents have a job, and do you have younger siblings that where your parents have to go to work and they can't leave you alone at home? If that's the case, then you might need to go to in-person. And once again, just keep in mind that there's safety measures and everything. The other thing to consider is health of your family members. If you have family, I don't even know what I wrote there. Let's just pretend that's right. If you have family members that are susceptible, and I know many people have family members who are older, living in their homes. It's important to consider their health as well, because it's not just about you. There's many factors involved in this, and there's articles from the World Health Organization that came out today, and they're saying that this disease could even be airborne, meaning like it could hang around in the air and someone could catch it. So there's concerns about that as well. So, and there's asymptomatic cases. There's many variables. Just keep these into, now you're free to make a decision. No one can force you into making a decision, unless Governor Abbott in a few weeks says, there's too many cases, we're going to shut down schools. So once again, that's a possibility too. This is a very fluid situation. That's something to keep in mind. And then, of course, there's summer reading, which you can find on the blog. And then the other thing is, we're going to try to use the blog more often, and we'll try and get members of our class to write on the blog. That way, we can delegate some of those tasks a little bit more effectively. And we're going to be using the blog for communication. We're going to be using the blog to send updates. One more thing while I'm on the subject of blog. On the subject of blog, the other important thing to remember is that CAS. You still have to do 100 hours of CAS. There's many opportunities for online activities. You can create YouTube videos. You can write recipes, whatever. There's so many different opportunities for CAS. I've started a nonprofit. You can participate in that. There's a lot of different opportunities, and that's part of the reason why I started the nonprofit, simply because I wanted to offer these opportunities. But be creative. There's lots and lots of opportunities. So you still have to do CAS, 100 hours. Let's see. Oh, and then homework calendar. So you know how we had that homework calendar from last year that Ms. Gibbs had? We'll see if we can continue that. If not, we'll create a new one, and we'll try and put all our assignments and everything on there. And it'll be, no one's going to verify them, but if you know that there's an assignment and you don't see it on the calendar, go ahead and put it on there. We'll try and take care of those. There's more questions on the chat, probably. Let's see. Okay, a big question is, are we going to get North Hills teachers or general uplift teachers? So we'll talk about that. And then the other thing is IB exams and what's going to change about that. Okay. So are you guys okay if I clear all this stuff for now? Yes. All right. Perfect. I'm going to go and clear all this. All right. So moving on. Of course, you have to do your summer assignments. That's available on the blog. We talked about that. Now, FAQs. So first thing I want to bring up is number 33. Once again, when Uplift sends out those emails, they're very ambiguous. So I'm really glad that Ms. Pereira sent out this email and clarified this, because after I read that email yesterday, I was just, there was just a flurry of emotions that was running through. It was infuriating and confusing. It was a bunch of things at the same time, and there's words that I shouldn't be even using. So, anyways, moving on. We will have North Hills teachers, because to think that AP Biology and IB Math and IB ESS and what else is there? IB Physics. To think that these courses are going to be taught by generic Uplift teachers that's at North Hills is not practical. But once again, we've discussed that reality. It's just not practical. So yes, Madam Pereira has confirmed that for middle and high school scholars, UNHP teachers will be teaching them. So that's something that really, really comforted me, and that definitely made my decision much easier to choose. So I'm still concerned about the virtual, what is that, the assistant, because I want to be able to have that interaction with the North Hills teachers. I don't want some random person. Once again, it's not some random person, and no offense to whoever this is, but I don't want to ask some random person what how is ATP generated during cell respiration. I want to have Ms. Rao explain that. I don't want to have some random person answer questions about how to how to integrate the natural log of X. I want to have Ms. Raja explain that. You know what I'm saying? So I want that interaction. And hopefully we'll receive that. Maya, do you think we should talk about elections next, or do we want to cover the FAQs first?
Maybe, oh, it's echoing again. Maybe talk about the FAQ first, and then we'll talk about elections.
All right, sounds good. So we'll only look at the ones that are relevant to us, because there's no point in looking at every single one. But is this selection for the fall? So basically, every quarter they'll give you the option to change. All right, so that's something that's important. So every quarter you'll be allowed to change your choice if you need to. Can you change learning models? We talked about that. Hybrid, talked about that. That doesn't matter. We talked about space. So this is what they say about the mask. They're saying scholars will wear masks from the time they get into Carline until they get to their classroom. Once in their classroom, they can change into a face shield, and Uplift has purchased face shields for each scholar. And they've said that they've purchased face shields for all scholars, and they're keeping scholars. Okay, there we go. This is what the question that I was going to address. So they want everyone to have face covering on, whether that's a mask or whether that's a shield, or you can have both on. So that's the idea that they're trying to get across, that you can have the mask instead of the shield, or you can do both the mask and the shield. Personally, and once again, you don't have to follow my opinion, but personally, I wouldn't wear the shield simply because if that's staying in the classroom, I don't trust where that's going to end up at the end of the day, because I'm not going to be watching over it. I'd rather wear a mask that I'm in control of, and I'd rather use things that I can control, not something that's going to be lying around. So that's just something to consider. Once again, I want to stress that you're free to do whatever you want, given the legality of things and given the rules, but these are just things to keep in mind. Are there any exceptions to mask wearing in school? If you have a medical condition, you can reach out about that. All right. Our class is going to be smaller. 8 to 14 scholars per classroom at North Hills isn't going to happen. I can tell you that, because our classes are tiny.
I don't know how they expected to make that work.
I don't know about other Uplift schools, because I haven't been to other Uplift schools, but I can tell you that our school, 2-3 people, like you'd have to have 4 people in each corner, because literally we don't have that space. So that's something to consider as well. Will lunch be served? Yes, but you're going to be eating lunch in your classroom. So you're going to be staying in your classroom the entire day. My concern was fresh air. There's no fresh air, and another concern is circulation. You're going to be inside a room without there being any circulation. There's going to be AC and stuff, but there's not going to be that circulation of being able to go to a different room. You're going to be breathing that same air the whole day. So that's something to consider as well. So if one person has the virus, God forbid, if one person has the virus in that room, it could very well easily spread to everyone else in that room because there's no protection, because there's no circulation that's happening. So because it's all indoors and stuff. Another concern I had was restrooms. How do you ensure that um, there's just many concerns about restrooms. I won't go into detail because that's not a conversation I want to have right now. But there's concerns about hygiene and stuff. Anyways, moving on. Half days, yes, there will still be early dismissal on Wednesdays, so that's still good. Aftercare. So once again, this is for families who, if your parents have to go to work and they're unable to leave you home, that it's something to consider. You know, you might have to end up going in person, and they will offer aftercare. Lockers are not important. Bathroom protocols, they're still figuring that out. Okay, so specials and electives are still going to happen, but they're going to look different, obviously. I mean, we don't have specials, we have electives, but once again, they're trying to figure that out. But from my impression from the town hall meeting that they had, everyone's going to follow the same schedule, essentially. So in Monday, they'll have a math block, a science block, and whatever. But once again, I don't know how practical that would be considering that we have so many different courses, AP Biology, AP Chemistry, IB Math, IB English, IB Lit, IB Language Lit. There's so many different courses. It's difficult to manage that. So I don't know how they would do that, but that's what it's looking like at the moment. And once again, anything could change. So don't take this stuff to be final. Volunteers, we're not worried about that. Okay, they still expect the 100 hours to work. I know. I talked to Ms. Schulte recently, and she still said that the 100 hours are going to be required. And if you need help finding resources, you guys can always talk to me. You guys can always talk to student council members, and we can figure out ways to do CAS online. Okay. 504 special education social counseling. Basically, the summary of this section is that yes, learning options are available. You just need to talk to them about that. Okay. What happens if a scholar gets sick with COVID-19? Their response to this, to me, this is not sufficient. And your opinion might be different, but to me, when they say we will communicate it that there's a positive case and we're not going to identify them by name, then they'll try to reach out and contact any individuals who may have been in contact, and they'll switch to all remote learning. And this is what bothers me. While that outreach is taking place, we will ask the classroom or grade level impacted. To me, what I don't understand is why they wouldn't close the whole school down at that point. To just simply close down the classroom. I mean, the simple fact is when you're walking from the hallway into the classroom, there's particulates in the air that are traveling. And to ignore that, I don't know. Hopefully they'll figure out something better. But this is what's bothering me, that simply that classroom is going to switch to all remote learning, and somehow that the rest of the school is going to be open. That doesn't make sense. And in the event of school closure, they'll still engage in remote learning. So that's still going to happen. Teacher communication, virtual, speak English. I don't think that's an issue at North Hills as much. That might be an issue in some of the other uplift schools. But if you have concerns about that, you can read that here. Okay, there's a lot more questions in the chat. So let me do a quick chat break real quick, and then we'll, okay. Let's go back to Shreya's question. Do you know if IB examinations and stuff will change? Right now, IB has been kind of crazy too. You know, in the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak, like for theater, they were expecting students to complete an IB collaborative project that, literally requires you to collaborate in person, and they were expecting that to be done online and still be due. They didn't allow extensions on that. So then again, I don't know what IB is expecting, but hopefully they'll look at the situation and they'll adapt. Okay, how do they purchase face shields for every scholar if they don't know how many people are taking classes in school? I had the same question, Tarek, and it's funny because last time I checked, in order to go online and purchase something, you need to know how many you're going to order. I've never heard of purchasing a hypothetical amount, unless it's a very specific agreement with a company, which I don't think Uplift did. So we don't know. Good question. I do miss specials, Alina. Do you guys remember Miss Montgomery? Art? Do you guys remember Miss Burkholder? Those were the good old days. Anyways, for the remote learning, going to
No
be in
one
the same
replied.
call. So to me, it seems like the remote learning option, everyone's going to be in the same class. I don't think they're going to be online pods, and I hate using that term pods. It sounds so weird, but that's the term they're using, so we're going to use that. But I think it's going to be all online students are going to be in the same class. Are they going to make up for missed work? You can contact your teacher about that. So this is where the trouble happened. When my parents and I read this, we were infuriated. Why in the world why may or may not have a different teacher from their campus? These are not easy courses. So as Madam Per assured us, we will have North Hills teachers. So you shouldn't have to worry about that. Okay. I see what you're saying. So Nassim, sorry, I need to clarify that. So there's going to be different classes. I mean, you're going to be in the course. I mean, what I'm trying to say is that if you're in IB Math, all IB Math students are going to be in that class at that time. If you're in...
So, like no class periods separation.
Yes. So yeah, exactly.
There's no class periods, but if you take that class, you'll have that class with everyone who takes that class.
Okay. Oh, and the other thing is TEA. Oh, and just to remind you guys, the reason why the in-school option is being offered is because TEA has said that they're not going to provide funding to schools unless they offer an in-person option. And the reason for that is, once again, the families who have to go to work, and that's, once again, a valid concern. How many classes will we have each day? We don't know yet.
We actually, we talked about that in the meeting, and didn't Mr. Rash say he thinks it would make more sense if we had all our classes every day rather than A and B day?
Yeah,
but
he was
there's no
thinking
confirmation on that yet.
There's no confirmation, exactly. So, and the other requirement that TEA has said is that there's going to be independent work from each class that you attend every day. So if you have, that means that, according to Mr. Rash, I mean, this is not final, but he thinks that there's going to be each class every day. That means you're going to have an assignment from each class every day. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And this doesn't differ from in-person or online. There's something to, consider. What books will be available? Yeah.
Some classes, the assignments might be longer than others, is something else, that depending on the subject and how much repetition you might need for that particular subject.
But there aren't that many people with the same exact combinations of classes as you, so I'm confused. Okay, all right. So we're confused too, because we don't know, because nothing's final yet. But the understanding right now is that, say everyone from 9 to 9:30 will do math. Now, if you remember how on Thursdays we had our pre-cal class. While that was happening, Mr. Clarity did his Algebra 2 class. So everyone from 9 to 9:30 is going to do their math class, and whether you're in pre-cal or in Algebra 2 or in IB Math, you're going to be your teacher is going to be teaching that class. Does that make more sense? That's my, that's what I'm thinking.
That's how I see it. I hope I'm not wrong.
Okay. Taking multiple sciences, so how would that work? That's a great question too. We don't know the answer to that. That's also, I'll write that down.
I'm also taking multiple sciences.
Yeah, I know, multiple sciences. If you're taking AP Chemistry, AP Biology, and IB Physics, that's a valid concern. Multiple sciences and how is scheduling going to look like? Sorry, let me mention this real quick. I'm on the free plan, so this meeting might end anytime soon. So if it does end, just use the same code to rejoin, all right? Anyways, moving on. We'll try and finish up in a couple minutes. We're taking different combos. Okay. I do have 5 minutes left. Okay. All right, so Books. All right. So in terms of books, they are trying to use online textbooks, which I appreciate that. I think that's very important, and most colleges are doing that too. So it's important to try and get these online resources out. Um, Once again, I don't know how comfortable I would feel picking up books from school and then reading those at the moment. Maybe later once the situation gets better, but as evidenced by the lack of common sense in our society, I don't think this is going to go away anytime soon, and that's a very unfortunate reality. Um,
Mm-hmm. The lack of
someone might,
common sense in
yeah,
Texas.
it's very sad. It's very sad that people are not just they're not concerned about others, but more than that, they're not
How
concerned about
did
themselves. It's
how
very
did
sad.
they manage to make wearing a mask a political matter? It's your
I
That
know,
safety.
yeah,
doesn't make
I
any
know.
sense. That makes zero sense. They have
Yeah,
nothing
I
Why?
agree. I mean, it's not a burden. I mean, if it was a true burden that you're gonna suffocate, that's understandable. I mean, there's an argument there, but there's no argument here. It's literally a matter of safety and
I could
common
go
sense.
on about this. I
Yeah.
really could.
No,
I could too.
There were literally protests about not wearing a mask, and they were chanting "My body, my choice." Like what? Like how? You're trying
Anyways,
to. You're trying.
moving
I
on.
don't
Yeah,
understand.
I mean, we could have a whole
Oh
conversation
gosh.
about this, but moving
Oh,
on. So IB math, IB physics. How can they keep everyone in one class the whole day? Yeah, I know that was my concern too. How are they going to sit in one classroom and do everything the whole day? That didn't really make sense to me either. So we're going to try and get some clarification on that. Class lessons are going to be recorded, but you still have to attend. So that means you're still going to be marked absent if you don't attend, but you will have the opportunity to go back. If you choose online class, okay, as a working parent, that's yeah, just general guidelines. We don't need to talk about that. We don't have CA, so you don't need to worry about that. Course exams and map testing, we don't have that. So STAR, our EOCs are still going to happen. TEA is still figuring that out. So it's probably going to be online testing because EOCs are actually offered online. The reason our school doesn't do it is because there's opportunities for glitches. I mean, as some of us may have firsthand experienced in the AP testing, so that may have happened. So yeah, of course, there's always glitches that are potential. For people who work during the day or have to look after their younger siblings.
I was actually just wondering that too because when we were doing online at the end of the year, people who can join the Zoom call could get their attendance by doing that makeup thing, but I don't know if that's still going to happen.
Okay, so I think they're trying to make it consistent. So in order to make it consistent and equal for all people, all the students, they need to apply that attendance measure because it isn't fair to students who are attending in person and students who are attending online for people to just choose to do an alternative if they're having to do the all day and meet attendance requirements.
I don't, as long as nobody abuses it, I don't think it'll be an issue. But like, I think the reality of the situation is that there are some people that they have to work now.
Yeah.
So I mean, it has its good and its bad, but I'm kind of glad they did because some people need to do that.
Yeah, no, I understand. Some people they do need to work, and that's a very valid concern.
I think it'll be like the same classes, maybe just like recorded if they still do it through Zoom and Schoology, because isn't that like what Miss Barnhart did?
Yeah, they'll still record their lessons and everything. It's just you'll be marked absent, so that's something to consider and talk about with your teachers. And this is going to end in 1 minute, so just be aware. All right, just rejoin when this ends. Go ahead. Were you saying something?
Oh, no, that's it. I was just saying, I think they'll have like a different agenda for those people. I don't think it'll be the same online classes.
See, from my understanding of this, I think it's gonna be consistent. So, I mean, it's a concern, and that's my worry that they're not going to take that into consideration. But right now, I think the biggest concern is consistency more than anything else. So, we can definitely bring that up if we get the opportunity to. But if you are in that situation, I'd plan for having to attend school live. I'd plan for that. Plan for the worst, and if it gets better, it gets better. All right, we'll meet back in the same code in 4 seconds because this is gonna end. All right. Well, it hasn't ended yet, but it'll end in just